Well, he's still loading up, so we haven't got him on yet.
Can you hear me? God damn it, I'm not loading up. That's Schweitzer.
we were
But if
we
you
were
have
just
a
getting to
Copenhagen-
hear we were
if
just
you
getting
have
to hear a little history about Montana Farmers Union from Doris Bishop, who's the matriarch of Montana Farmers Union, and she's on here telling us how she joined in 1933-34, I believe.
One of the truly fine families of what made Farmers Union the organization it is today. We can look at folks like Doris and her husband and quite frankly just have incredible amount of respect for you guys. I mean, part of my folks' generation I always went to the Farmers Union convention and just good people. So. A little history never hurts, that's for sure. We got to remember where we came from if we're going to remember where the hell we're going. We're supposed to be going.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah. And then I see you got all sorts of other important people on here like Ben and Banks and Laura Peterson. Jesus caramba, I just keep going. But I won't.
Are we going to get to see you or just hear you?
You can't see me?
No,
No. We can see him.
I can see him.
Scroll
well,
your
hell.
screen. Yes.
Yeah, so there you go, Walter.
Okay,
God
good.
dang it.
I've been told.
Who's running this show anyway?
Not me.
So just to let you guys know really quickly, first of all, it's a pleasure to be on the call with you. I want to thank you very, very much for the opportunity. It's always good talking to folks who really do believe in family farm agriculture and support it with supporting policies that move the ball ahead. And now you just went off my screen. Where the hell did you go? There you are. But we're in the middle of a 3-vote set right now. I just voted on the second one. All judges. I don't anticipate we're going to be doing anything in September other than Zoom calls and voting on judges and a CR at some point in time. It'll take us to December. I've got a number of bills that I would like to see McConnell take up, but so certainly hasn't looked like he wants to do that. The bill with Grassley on spot pricing and making sure that cash price is more than 10%. Is a pretty good bill, although some people in the industry don't like it. The ones that say they represent the ranchers, but really represent the packers, don't much like it. There's some bills, to help. And I know you're going to ask me about this, Walt, so I'll beat you to it. To help get state inspected local processors federally inspected. I think that's a good bill. I haven't looked at every nook and cranny of it, but from what I've seen, I think it's a good bill. They're pairing, that means that for every Republican, they can get a Democrat or vice versa. And so if they've got 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans and they don't have another Republican, I can't get on it. So as soon as we get paired with that, we will. I think, Val, if you've got any problems with this bill, you speak now or for hold your peace, because I kind of like it. And so I think we're going to be moving forward on that. I think the CFAP program is a good program. We got to make sure that it's implemented correctly. There's really a lot of questions of this administration showing favoritism and not good accountability on this program and some others. And so I think it's a good program. If it's spent as Congress intends it, then it's good and it'll help people who really need the help, which is important. One of the big problems with the package that McConnell put forth last week, and one of the reasons I voted against it and there were many, is that there just wasn't the kind of SNAP support that needs to be there. I think it's really important. We've got schools that are acquiring much more costs, and some of it's in food assistance, some of it's just keeping the place clean. Silver Great Falls High was shut down today and yesterday for cleaning because of COVID. That stuff's going to happen all over the state of Montana in our schools. It's extra cost. We need to help them with that. With that, I'm going to turn it back to you or whoever you want to turn it to, Walt, for questions on anything you want to talk about.
All right. Well, thank you, Senator Tester. Sure appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this, and we'll get right to the questions. We're going to start with your neighbor to the north, Alice Miller from Guilford, and she's got a question on our Postal Service.
Hey,
Hey,
Senator.
Alice. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm dandy, thanks.
Hey,
Good.
I don't have to tell you that all these changes to the Postal Service are concerning to rural areas. And thank you for your advocacy for supporting the Postal Service. But could you tell us briefly, moving forward, how you plan to either ramp up that support of them or other options for supporting them, and how we can join you in that?
Great question. And I'll tell you, DeJoy's got to go. The Postmaster General does not understand what his job is as Postmaster General. And by the way, the board that oversees him, we could do a lot better there too. Look, the Postal Service has been under attack since I got here in 2007. There's a lot of folks that think it's gone the way of the Pony Express. I don't think anybody in this call thinks that. I certainly don't. And it's not only for voting, it's for prescriptions, it's for parts, it's for birthday cards, it's for everything. And so what I plan on doing, I plan on continuing to putting pressure on DeJoy as long as he's in Postmaster General to be more transparent about why he pulls the blue boxes out, which he has not been transparent at all about, why he's undone sorting machines. He uses the excuse that was all set up before he became Postmaster General. It maybe has been, but we need to talk to past Postmaster General and find out if that's really true, because I don't necessarily buy it. But the bottom line is this: regardless of what has been done, we need to do our level best to restore service at the post office so that we can get timely service, and you can set your clock by the guy who comes to your mailbox, because that's the way it's always been in the past. So we're going to continue to put pressure, and hopefully, I mean, there was a person, I think it was the Inspector General yesterday, that said that DeJoy needs to step down because he's not up to the job, and I agree with that. And who knows what's going to happen in this election? God only knows. But the truth is that we may have a different person in charge that would appoint a different Postmaster General, or at least advocate for that.
Do you see any legislative solutions to some of the issues facing?
That's a great question, Alice. There's several out there. Actually, most of them deal with money, but there's also one that deals with prepayment of retirement benefits that, by the way, was done in 2005. That really has put the Postal Service in negative numbers. So if we could fix that, and we could fix it, and there's a bill to deal with the overtime. There's the bill to deal with putting the service back the way it was, but I really think it needs to be better than the way it was. And so we need to continue to push. But there's a number of bills. There's a half a dozen bills. One of them's for $25 billion in support. Another one, there's a $10 billion loan. Another one, there was reinserting the boxes, the sorting machines, and the overtime. All this stuff could play a pretty good role. I will tell you, I don't know what's happened to sorting machines. I've heard they've been pulled out and scrapped, which is a stupid thing to do, because now it's going to cost more money to put them back. Okay?
Well, thanks for that, Senator. And now I'm going to turn Jeff Bangs loose on you, another neighbor of yours to the north.
He is the guy who cuts all the good wheat. I know him. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's me. All right. Yeah. Well, again, I know we're not telling you anything not acutely aware of here, but trade wars have been just incredibly impactful in a negative way to us. We're losing markets that our checkoff dollars have built. We've lost competitive advantages to places that are closer to the destination markets, as you know, because we didn't have an agreement in place. The China deal, phase one deal, it would be hard to call that anything enforceable. So what can we do? What can you do? What can we help you do to get us back in the trade market globally, I guess, would be how I would put it.
Well, I will tell you that Donald Trump has made me into a free trader because I've come to the realization that free trade is better than no trade. And I've always advocated for fair trade in the past, and I still do, by the way. I think it's the only thing that can happen. But the truth is that Donald Trump doesn't believe in trade. I mean, that's absolutely, I don't get it. I don't understand it. because you're exactly right on China, and every other trade agreement that's come down the pipe. So what can be done, by the way, is instead of pushing our allies away and pushing them to China, bring our allies back into the fold, because quite frankly, if he's trying to put the heat on China, we got to have help doing it. We got to have Australia and Argentina and the EU and all those folks on board with us, and you can do it. So what we need, Jeff, is we need a different person that's directing the trades, wars, if that's what you want to call them. I'll call them deals, though, directing the trade deals. And I think we can get good trade deals if we are able to put the pressure on the folks that are out there. It's interesting. I got sent a text message today that said that Trump's $200 billion in tariffs was illegal by the WTO. You guys probably saw the story. Well, do you think Trump's going to back off those tariffs the way we backed off of cool? No, there's no way in hell. And so, on one hand, I appreciate the fight. On the other hand, you got to fight for something worth fighting for. And right now, what the president's done is he's really turned a lot of our traditional trading partners over to somebody else, and mainly that's China. So we just need to have a different vision for trade in this country right now. What we've got doesn't work. I don't need to tell anybody on this call, because you guys know this. This has hurt us in the marketplace, and it's hurt us on our input side. And I'm telling you, the margins were slim before; they're slimmer now. And after a while, you can get so slim that you're not in business anymore. And so we've got to deal with this. And so what can you do? I still believe in public input. Pick up the phone, write an email to our delegation, to Purdue, to Lighthizer, who's a trade guy, and tell them what you think. Tell them how it's impacted you. Tell them what's going on. And by the way, if you have trouble getting those addresses, let Walt know, and I'll get them all to Walt, and he can distribute them.
Okay.
You know, we had some follow-up questions there, John, but I think you got to all of those. I think we need to jump on, because you don't have much time.
Yeah.
To Ben Peterson's question on the lamb processing. Ben, are you with us?
You're muted. No, you're not muted. I can't hear you though. Oh no.
There we go. Ben?
Your lips are moving, but your voice isn't hemming, Ben.
Well, this is probably has to do with broadband issues. Do you know anything about that, Senator Tester?
Yeah, I do know a little bit about it, and the telehealth stuff and the distance learning have pointed out that we need to make more of an investment in broadband, and that doesn't even include everything else as far as business goes. But healthcare is so damn important, and education is so important, that this has really brought this to life in this pandemic. That's a good thing, by the way. I mean, it shows where we're deficient. And there are a number of pots of money out there. There's some in the USDA, there's some with the FCC. And by the way, we're going to have to allocate some dollars. We're going to have to congressionally appropriate some dollars to make sure that places who aren't served, a fair amount of Montana, by the way, turn into being served. We got to make sure those maps are good so that we're not overbuilding, and then go to work. One of the more exciting things that I've heard is I just had a conversation with, oh God, who's the dude who's putting the space machines up in the air now? Built Tesla. What's his name?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk is putting up a series of satellites that are supposed to provide broadband. And by the way, he's doing it on the northern tier. So if in fact this happens, maybe within the next 6 months to a year, we will be able to see if that actually is going to work. So we could have the kind of broadband without laying the fiber at really, really expensive rates. But in the meantime, I think we continue to lay the fiber, because we don't know that the other technology is ready for prime time yet. But it is really, really, really important. Being from Judith Gap, Montana, I can't imagine that there aren't too many times you're on the wrong side of the digital divide. I know I am where I live, and quite frankly, it is really, really frustrating when you go to talk on a Zoom or a WebEx call and people can't hear you because you don't have the kind of broadband coverage you need. You probably get my my gist, don't you, Ben? At any rate, that's where we're at. There are several pots of dollars. We just got to make sure they're spent in a way that meets the needs of the folks who don't have service now.
Wait, can you talk, Ben? You want me to ask your question? So Ben is a lamb. He's a sheep herder as well as a cowboy. And the JBS's acquisition of the Mountain States Rosen Lamb Processing Plant and the subsequent end of its life as a lamb processing plant is very disconcerting for multiple reasons. Domestic demand for lamb has been rising in recent years, and JBS, a Brazilian-owned company by a mafia family, I will add, is the largest importer of foreign lamb to the United States. This appears to be a blatant attempt to eliminate domestic competition for a foreign food product. What are you prepared to do to allow Montana lamb producers to compete on a fair market?
Well, in this particular issue in particular, we have a Department of Justice that needs to step up the plate and hit the damn ball and launch an antitrust investigation into this particular issue, because quite frankly, this is not acceptable. Wouldn't country of origin labeling be nice? It'd stop this whole damn problem. You want to bring in lamb from Brazil? Well, then label it Brazilian lamb. I know as a big consumer of food, I'm not going to be eating Brazilian lamb. I'm going to be eating lamb that has product of USA, better yet, product of Montana on it. So that's what we need to do, and that's what I'll continue to push. There's also a bill that I'm co-sponsoring with Booker that will pause all mergers and acquisitions for 18 months until an antitrust review can be completed. I think that would be a good thing to get passed too. So there are a number of things we can do, but if you want to talk about something where there's a total lack of common sense among some of these folks, or maybe it's just, I hate to say they've been bought because I don't see anybody around here driving Maseratis that work for the government. But the truth is that when you have situations like this, this blatantly antitrust, then we've got to have folks who step up to the plate and do the investigation and get after it. I don't know. It just drives me crazy. It just drives me crazy, man. It's another part of why we need more competition in the marketplace, why we need to empower small meat processors, why we need to make sure that these folks aren't manipulating the price through the cash price, and why we need to move forward. It's about all I can say, Walt.
So, Sarah, you already answered Sarah Rocker's question on broadband. She's out in Sydney, Montana, on the school board, and of course, you answered that question. So we're going to jump on to the next one. And this is a good follow-up, I think, what we just talked about. In the challenging times, farming families have often turned to cooperative solutions to solve problems. You know this. With the pandemic, it has increased the importance to support farmers and ranchers as they look to work together in cooperative models to meet processing, distribution, and market supply needs. New product and market potentials, such as hemp products, are emerging in Montana. Meat producers are discussing how they can organize cooperatives to meet their processing needs. How are you, as our representative, supporting the USDA rural development and expanding cooperative development opportunities? And what new capital opportunities might be launched to move new value-added ventures forward that are organized as a cooperative?
So you're exactly right, Walt. I mean, I think that I've been pushing cooperatives since my days of my folks used to be able to go in and find Virginia and Big Sandy that no longer exists, and purchase everything from oil to fuel to farm supplies. When I was in the state legislature, I also kiss buzzing one of these days. We also did the Cooperative Development Center so that cooperatives could go out there and people with like-minded ideas could organize and move the ball forward in whatever area that was, whether it was a grocery store in Geraldine or whether it was meat processing or ethanol production, or whatever it might be. They're still in business. They're still doing a decent job, and I still think there's more and more opportunities out there to add value, especially when it comes to, wheat and beef and lambs and barley and the works. We continue to fund liberally the USDA program, continue to push for funding for USDA rural development in particular, and we'll continue to push rural development. But I think this is, there are many pieces to solve the consolidation problem we have in this country, and this is one of the many pieces that I think we continue to empower to allow folks to be able to have more control over what they're selling in the marketplace. Now, I will also tell you that if in fact we had a Department of Justice that actually would pinch down on the antitrust stuff, I know that brings a lot of anxiety to people because they don't know what's going to happen to their food supply, and it's true. I mean, we look at it from a positive standpoint, and I do too, but oftentimes people that are consumers or people that are selling to these big grades, well, if they're not there, who are we going to sell to? That's where the cooperatives can come in. That's where making it so small plants can become federally inspected and sell across state lines come in. That's where all this stuff comes in. We need to, and COVID has shown us this. Look what happened at the South Dakota meatpacking plant. Shit, they had so many COVID people infected with COVID that they had to shut the plant down, which also impacts consumers and the producers in a negative way. So rural development's important. I'm open to any ideas you guys might have to really help push rural the cooperative movement. I think it's something that was really, really big in the 50s and 60s, and it's kind of died back, and we've had some increases over time, but I think we can still do more. And if you have ideas on what we need to do, and I know you do, get them to us, get them to Anderson, get them to Jesse, and we'll try to push them out at the federal level. Win-win for everybody.
This next question, John, is near and dear to my heart because I've lost 4 neighbors and friends. I know you have too, to suicide. And I don't think we're doing enough. What can we do? How can we stop this, please?
Well, let me say this. The reason suicide rates are high, there's a number of reasons, by the way, but one of them is prices are so shitty and the margins are so tight. And these places have been in the families for generations, and they don't want to live them. They don't want to be around. And I'm going to tell you something. I get it. I really do. I mean, I'm going to tell you guys a little story. I haven't told a lot of folks this, and Val's probably going to be a cast when I do tell it. But I had a bunch of rental folks come in when we were doing the ACA, and they said, well, this is just a bunch of crap. You guys pushing this ACA on us. And I said, look, you guys are small business people. I'm on a farm. I've been on a farm for 100 years. My grandfather worked, and grandmother worked their ass off so I could be on this farm. My folks did the same. And I'm on this farm, and now we're to a point where I can't make ends meet, or I get cancer, I go to the doctor and you don't have insurance. I said, let me tell you guys something. I ain't losing the damn farm. I'm not going to lose it to a bunch of high-cost medical risk. It just ain't going to happen, okay? So that's a mindset that I don't think is that uncommon amongst people in agriculture. They're on farms that have been in the family for generations and generations. They don't want to lose it. That's why we need to have good health care. That's why we also need to have folks out there that can help when you do get in crisis. Because I got news for you. Everybody on this phone call at some point in time in their life has been depressed. Everybody's been in crisis. There's no shame here, folks. But when you get in crisis, you got to have somebody to talk to. And if you don't have that neighbor, or you don't have, if you don't have that phone call that you can make, that somebody on the other end that knows what the hell they're doing, then we got a problem. I did get a bill done called the Seeding Rural Resilience Act that was part of the National Defense Authorization Act as an amendment. This would provide public service announcements to remove the stigma on mental health. It would allow voluntarily, but I think a lot of them would do it, FSA agents who, by the way, I go in and see, you guys go in and see multiple times a year. They know when you go in and you're happy and when you're sad. And you know, if they had some tools in the toolbox, just ask a question here and there, they might be able to keep people out of crisis. That's what this is about. So we're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to actually give debt relief for people who go into psychology, into social work, into psychiatry, because quite frankly, we need more of those folks in rural America. And so those are the things, that's what I'm doing right now. Look, guys, this is, I don't care if you live in Miami, Houston, New York City, LA, or if you live in Judith Gap, or you live in Plentywood, or you live in Big Sandy or Chester. This is the biggest healthcare issue that's facing this country for the next 50 years is going to be mental health. It's a fact. We need to be proactive about it, and I appreciate the question, Walt.
So I don't know how much more time you have. We've got a bunch more questions. If you've got the time for them,
I've got to vote. There's only 2 minutes left, and I still got to get to the floor to vote. But I've got Val, who is just really, really smart, and Jesse, who happens to be a farmer, that can answer any of these damn questions that you got. And don't screw it up, okay? Hey, Anderson?
Anderson, you noticed I didn't say you were really, really smart.
That's because he's a farmer.
That's right, he's a farmer. Exactly.
One without the other kind of thing, yeah.
Right. And Sarah, it's good to see you. I'm sorry Walt asked your question or that I answered. You're on the tractor. I can see that white wiper blade. That's good shit.
That was what I know. You said you'd be pretty jealous, so thanks for asking my question.
You went over a hill and I put you on the wrong side of the digital divide. I got to shoot. Thanks, you guys. Pleasure talking to you.